Hi everyone, welcome back to NGN. I'm Julian, I'm here with Stephen Negus and Frank Elliott. They're here to talk about Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the first game, it's an RPG, sandbox, strategy. There's one more.
Action simulation.
Action simulation. So 5, I guess.
Action RPG is one genre in a way. So
you're right. So it's 4, but I can only hold 3 in my head. You guys brought so many worlds together, and I can't even keep track of them all. So how is this game so many different things?
Yes, well, it's an RPG in the sense that you control a single person, an individual, and you rise up from a basically unknown warrior, depending on the path you want to follow, to a major feudal lord under a kingdom. If you get lucky, you may even found your own kingdom. In that sense, it's an RPG. It's a sandbox in that you can choose whatever faction you want to work for. There's 8 different factions, an empire divided into 3 parts, and then 5 other kingdoms on the outside.
Yeah, there's a lot of subdivision, and it's huge, right? There's tons of towns and castles and cities that you can go to.
And you don't have to follow the feudal career path either. You can make your name as a merchant. Or you can delve a little bit into the organized crime in the cities, or you can just be a bandit and ravage things.
Yeah, and it looks like you guys really dove into the nitty-gritty of all these details. Like in the swordplay, there's various different ways to block and fight, and in the siege world we were looking at, you guys showed some footage at the PC Gaming Show, the siege towers and battering rams. I was even watching it, right, when they were storming the castle, and as soon as they got to the front gate, I said, oh, somebody should pour oil on them, and boom, oil dropped on all the guys on the front row. And I was saying, oh, well, why don't they starve them out? And apparently this is something you can do in this game, right? Yeah. So that's part of the strategy element of it, too.
That's exactly right. I mean, the way we look at it is, when we're designing the game, we actually look at history really, a lot. We spend a lot of time researching, having discussions, historical discussions. And so, sort of we look at what they used in history, what they used in a historical siege, actually why they used that as well. So kind of, why did they throw bottles of boiling oil? Obviously it's going to kill some of the defenders, but how they use choke points to actually make that more effective.
Yeah, and that plays in with the combat, right? Because when you're swinging a sword, it's not like an automatic, you're going to hit it. It actually has to make contact in the game, or when you're shooting an arrow, same thing. So if you've got those parapets, you're better defended as an archer. So the design actually informs the gameplay.
Yeah, of course.
So that's one of the details I really like about this game. But there's so many details. There's bandits running around the countryside, and they can weaken your economy and weaken your army. Or you can be a bandit in an enemy lord's countryside, right? And eventually wear down his troops and his army to the point where he's easier to attack, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, in the sandbox of our game, everything is connected, right? So normally you have a lot of AI kind of interacting with each other. So they'll declare war on each other, they'll make peace, and they'll have all kind of interesting interactions in the way in which they behave. But you can also take part in that as a player yourself, so you can affect the sandbox. So again, if you're killing all the villagers that are trying to take their supplies and their products to the local town, you're actually going to kind of interrupt his economic process, right? You're going to actually starve out his wages and really cause him a lot of problems.
So
you can really do that in the game as well.
There's more than just being tactically better on the battlefield. It's what goes on behind the scenes, but being good on the battlefield is part of it too, right? Taking hills and setting up players. How did you guys design this part of the game?
I mean, really, with Mount and Blade, the important thing is that you're still a single character, right? So you have these huge spanning battles, and you have in our new game we have upwards of 500 troops in these battles, all acting independently with their own kind of directional blocking and attacking movements. But you're just one single person in that, so you're commanding them. You're saying, okay, go to the right flank, my cavalry, and kind of charge in and do your attack. But you're also the single character who's actually stuck in. You can grab any of the siege weapons that you can see. You can fire into the battle. So it's really important for us that it's just a very immersive, very authentic experience for the player. Very, very involving, and you really feel threatened actually when you're in the fight as well.
Yeah,
because you have no superpowers at all.
And talking about being involved, you were saying that part of your job on Mount and Blade 2 was to make the sieges meaningful and involving. How did you go about doing that?
Well, warfare in the medieval era is personalized. So an individual lord owns that castle. He might have one of your companions in the castle as a prisoner. If you take the castle, you will have made an enemy of the lord. You will have freed the prisoner.
Yeah. So we're doing this for Ricky.
Yeah.
Precisely. Ricky in the medieval times. Did you guys research that?
Richard, maybe.
Richard. Yeah.
A lot of nicknames were sort of
Ricky the Lionheart. Yeah.
So you should feel a stake in the siege, and the outcome of the siege should also be reflected in how people react to you later on. If it was a particularly effective siege, you should get praise from your companions.
Or still alive after.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah.
Well, I'll save you, Ricky. I'll avenge you, Ricky.
I think that's actually straight out of context. That's a different movie.
Yeah.
So. This game, I've been watching some of the gameplay. I think it's fascinating what you guys are doing with so many different, little nitty-gritty things actually having a visible effect in the combat and the rest of the world. when am I going to get to play it?
Okay, right. So we want to involve the players somehow before the actual release of the game. So we want to do something like a closed beta, maybe an open beta, early access. We really want to push for that to, like for the end of this year, hopefully. But realistically, for a full release, it's sometime next year.
So sometime next year, but if you want to get in on the beta before it's completely finished, that might be possible if you keep your eyes peeled. I'm assuming on Steam?
We're going to be on Steam.
On Steam, excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate you
Thank
talking
you.
about
Thank you
this
so
game.
much, Julian.
Thank you.
Looks like a lot of fun. I can't wait to actually go and be a knight or a merchant, I suppose, but
Yeah.
realistically a knight. And thank you guys for tuning in.